Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Noah, and today we will confront a deeply challenging question. Is being brought up in a certain environment an adequate excuse for behaving in a racist manner? At its core, this topic touches on our shared commitment to human rights, the idea that every individual deserves dignity and respect, regardless of upbringing. We'll dive into a plethora of philosophical perspectives, from Bentham's utilitarianism to Kant to deontology, our personal favorite. It's time to engage and reflect as we explore this ethical dilemma.
I'll be talking about how philosophy states that racism is always wrong no matter what. First, by deontology. Deontological ethics states that individuals must be treated as ends in themselves and never merely as an end to respect. Racism is treating people differently based on views, race, feeling superior in comparison, which means we treat them as means to an end. It is our moral duty to ensure equality and respect for all individuals. Therefore, racism is inherently wrong and violates deontological principles. Next, utilitarianism. Utilitarianism advocates for actions that promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number. Racism causes suffering and inequality, which leads to a reduction in overall well-being. Racism fails to maximize happiness and well-being, going against this. Therefore, racism is morally wrong, according to utilitarianism.
As a group, we believe that all humans have a moral compass that enables them to distinguish right from wrong. Racism is universally immoral because it denies human equality and dignity, as recognized by principles like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The existence of such frameworks reflects humans' collective awareness that racism is fundamentally wrong, reaffirming our shared understanding of some ethical principles that transcend cultural and individual differences. So, while upbringing shapes beliefs, individuals have the capacity to reflect and realize that acts of racism are universally immoral. This ability allows them to recognize and reject racism despite environmental influences. Thus, upbringing does not justify racism.
I'm going to introduce the psychological element of our argument. Bandura's social learning theory suggests that individuals learn behaviors and attitudes by observing and imitating others, especially significant figures in their environment, such as parents, peers, and community leaders. If an individual is raised in an environment where racist behavior is normalized and modeled by these figures, they are likely to adopt these behaviors. Therefore, being brought up in a certain environment can be considered an adequate excuse for behaving in a racist manner, as the individual's behavior is shaped and learned by these experiences. However, other psychological theories, like Pavlov's behaviorism and Maslow's humanistic approach, demonstrates that Bandura's social learning theory is not sufficient enough to justify that all behavior is learned through observation and imitation. Consequently, this theory cannot alone justify racism.
Since we have learned that racism is learned behavior, the removal of racism and the adoption of a morally correct standpoint, such as disapproving of racism, are achieved through education on social etiquette or exposure to diverse races. People who are inhibited from receiving this education lack the opportunity to choose between continuing learned racist behavior and adopting anti-racist behavior. Therefore, being brought up in a certain environment is not an adequate excuse for behaving in a racist manner when education and exposure to diversity are available. However, where such education and exposure are unavailable, individuals may be less culpable due to their lack of choice. In the world we live in, we have these resources of exposure. Therefore, there is no excuse to continue to behave in a racist manner, we believe.
In conclusion, while upbringing influences attitudes, we firmly believe it is not an adequate excuse for behaving in a racist manner. Keaton explained that all individuals possess a moral compass, with Edenham reinforcing this through deontological ethics and utilitarianism. Karras argued that environments shape behaviors, and Allegra mentioned in favor of the question that those who are less educated may not be given a choice and are forced to be products of their environment. I hope you've had a good time and learned something new today. Thank you.
Thank you.